On day 1, I spawned into the Badlands as a devil dragon! A devil dragon in the Badlands? This is so rad that I don't even mind that I'm a baby! I feel like I should start a rock band or something! But before I could come up with a cool name for my new rock band, something huge and dark rose out of the ground in front of me! It was an endergast! Oh my goodness! I've never seen anything like you before!
Welcome to my domain, Devil Dragon. I am Lord Endergast, the most powerful being in the overworld.
Wow! It's an honor to meet you, your lordship. Is there anything I can do for you?
Yes, you can perish!
Lord Endergast blew a huge fireball at me, which I only narrowly dodged, destroying the summoning circle next to me. Why did you do that? I was so polite to you.
I don't admire politeness. I admire survival. That's why I'm playing the 100 Days game. And if you figure out how to play, you may just be able to survive this.
How can I play a game if I don't even know the rules? But he didn't answer me. He just breathed another fireball at me, and all I could do was turn and fly away. The 100 Days game? I guess I've got to find out what it is if I want to survive. On day 2, I finally stopped after hours of flying through the Badlands, trying to escape the wrath of the nasty Lord Endergast. I can't afford to be reckless against a villain as powerful as him just yet. I only have 10 hearts. If a battle goes bad, I won't be able to survive. But my hearts weren't the only issue. My hunger meter was almost dangerously low. I needed to get my hands on some food soon, or I'd be in real trouble. I searched around the Badlands, which didn't have that much vegetation. I was so relieved when I happened upon a lone apple tree that I almost cried. Sweet, crunchy, delicious, appley goodness! Just what the doctor ordered. I knocked down the tree and started eating the apples that it dropped until I started hearing a rustling noise that sent a chill down my spine. I looked up and saw an ender creeper walking towards me.
Don't be a spoil sport, Devil Dragon. My lord and master wants to play a game with you, but you've got no hope of winning if you don't keep your wits about you.
But I don't want to play this game. Let's just talk, okay? And my name isn't Devil Dragon, it's Zozo. Boom! Before he could say anything else, he detonated, leaving a big hole in the ground and knocking out a huge number of my hearts. Oh no, I don't have any healing items. There's no way I could survive another attack like that. That's when my savior arrived. A fire guardian appeared in front of me. For a second, I was worried he'd attacked me, and then he spoke.
You are the Endergast's latest victim. It may feel hopeless, Devil Dragon, but with our help, it is not. Come with me!
So you're on my side?
If there are sides, yes. The only sides I see are the survivors and the condemned. Follow me!
And so I did! On day 3, I followed the fire guardian across the Badlands as night fell around us. It felt like the enemies coming after me could attack at any time.
What is your name, Devil Dragon?
I'm Zozo. I've only been here for 3 days. I don't understand why so many people are after me.
It's because that monstrous Endergast marked you. To be marked means that monsters and beasts will seek you out. They will hunt you, and they will try to destroy you.
But why? I didn't do anything.
Perhaps he senses potential in you. Potential for fun. It's all a game to him, but I know a being that might be able to help and advise you.
Oh yeah? Who's that?
The game's last survivor.
The fire guardian led me to a campfire where a soul blaze was waiting. He sent me over to speak to the supposed survivor of the Endergast's game.
So, you're the new one he picked. My commiserations. You're in for a horrific 100 days.
But why? What exactly is the 100 Days game, and how did you survive it?
It's a grand hunt. Over 100 days, he'll send everything after you. Every challenge and monster at his disposal, of which there are many. You will be pushed to the limit, and you will only have 2 choices: to hide or fight back.
I'll fight back! You can't hide from bullies like the Endergast. He'll never give up. So neither will I!
There may be hope for you yet. Make a base, find weapons, make allies, keep fighting, because if you don't, there'll be no hope for you at all.
He gave me a healing potion that I took for my ender creeper injuries and went off on my way. From day 4 to day 5, I started following the Soul Blaze's advice. With the Fire Guardian with me as my guide, I went further out into the Badlands to make myself a base.
Take these tools, Zozo. It will make your mission much easier. You can always make better ones later.
The Fire Guardian gave me a stone sword and a set of stone tools, which I used to start mining stone and cutting down trees. I soon had enough to start building myself a base. It was basic at first, just 2 rooms with some beds, one for me and one for the Fire Guardian. I hope these sheets are fireproof. Once the building was done, I stepped back to look at my hard work. It wasn't much, but it was mine, and I was proud of it. I didn't get to enjoy the moment forever though, as an ender blaze floated towards me, ready to attack. This really is a trial by ender fire. It wasn't easy, but with my stone sword, I was eventually able to defeat the ender blaze and destroy it. And when I did, I got enough XP to level up, getting bigger, stronger, gaining 30 hearts, and big, awesome dragon claws. Looks like I really am playing the game now. From day 6 to day 8, I was wandering through a new biome, the giant taiga, which was full of towering trees and lush greenery. A devil dragon looks kind of out of place here, but I still enjoy the scenery. I wonder if I can find anything out here that'll help me survive the 100 days and fight back against the Endergast. I was so lost in thought that I didn't notice an Enderman sneaking up on me. But when I noticed him, I immediately deployed my claws and started attacking him. He was a formidable foe, but my claws helped me gain victory in the end. That's right, I'd ended the Enderman.
That was amazing, kid.
Who's that? I turned and saw an evoker emerging from the tree line.
I've been hunting and tracking that Enderman for weeks, and you took him out just like that. It was amazing.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate the kind words. It's been kind of a rough week.
Tell you what, wanna come help me take out another monster? I'll make it worth your while.
Sure, it couldn't hurt. I mean, maybe it could, but I'm always happy to help. From day 9 to day 10, I followed the evoker through the giant taiga until we came upon a deeper, darker part of the forest. What exactly do you want me to take on out here, Mr. Evoker?
Truth be told, I need your help taking on a ghast.
Oh no, it isn't an Endergast, is it?
Endergast? No way. I've never even heard of that. This is just a regular ghast, but that doesn't mean it's not extremely dangerous.
Well then, I guess I'll make sure to proceed with caution. And even that caution didn't do me much good. The power of the gas fireballs repelled me quickly. I had to escape just to survive, then went back to my new friend, the evoker, with my dragon tail between my legs.
It's okay, my friend. Don't beat yourself up. How about we write this one off and come back to take him on another day?
Thanks for your patience, Mr. Evoker. Say, why don't you come back and stay with me at my base? I really need some people on my side right now.
I'll never turn down a free room. Lead the way, Dragon Boy.
From day 11 to day 12, we made it back to my base, and I immediately started working on a room where the Evoker could stay. It was super easy, and before long, he had a brand new place to stay right next to my room. When I was done, he came up to talk to me about something.
Hey there, Zozo. I really appreciate you making me a room, and I wanted to show my gratitude. Hope you don't mind, but while you were working, I took the liberty of making a few upgrades around the place. Come check them out.
I was super impressed. While I'd been busy, the Evoker had set up a brand new storage room where I could keep all my gear and resources, as well as a furnace, ready to craft some new equipment. That's so kind of you, Evoker.
Ah, don't mention it. It's the least I could do. Anything else you need? Don't hesitate to ask.
Well, to tell the truth, I could use some advice. I need to survive the Endergast's 100-day-long hunt.
I don't know much about this Endergast fella, but I've been a hunter myself. Let me tell you, a bad hunter will try to make the whole world play by his rules, but a great hunter will know how to use the world around him to his advantage. See what I mean?
It was great advice, and I immediately started to act on it. I headed into a nearby cavern to seek out some iron ore and brought it back to my base. With the furnace, I turned the ore into iron ingots and then crafted a new iron pickaxe and matching sword for myself. The Evoker was right. I could use the world around me to my advantage. That was how I could survive and beat the Endergast at his own game. In my search for more resources, I also made a few extra improvements to my base. I herded a flock of nearby sheep into the area and set up a nice spacious pen to keep them secure. Things looked to be on the up. From day 13 to day 15, I decided to ask my guide, the Fire Guardian, for some advice on growing stronger so I could survive the rest of the hunt.
Taking on the Endergast won't be easy, Zozo, but smaller challenges can prepare us for the larger ones ahead. I've heard some of his henchmen are stalking the giant taiga. If you're using the world around you, then use them to hone your fighting skills.
So, I set off on my new quest to take down some of the Endergast's minions. Reaching the giant taiga, I realized that this wasn't going to be as easy as I first thought, because I was outnumbered. A swarm of ender creepers were roaming around, and I'd already tangled with one of those nasty explosive mobs. But I remembered the advice from the evoker: use the world to my advantage. The giant taiga was filled with plenty of vegetation, which I could use as cover to sneak up and get the drop on them. I jumped from the trees and destroyed one on the spot.
Hey, where the heck did he come from?
With a swing of my sword, I dealt some damage, then ducked back behind the trees.
Hey, where the heck did he disappear to?
They searched for me, but only found defeat. When the last one remained, he puffed, and boom! The ender creeper detonated. I emerged victorious, and one even dropped a handy item, a health potion. Drinking it, I suddenly got much stronger. I had now gone up to 60 hearts, and even learned a new ability, a flame breath attack. Oh, now that's perfect for a devil dragon like me. Now I'm cooking with fire. From day 16 to day 19, I continued exploring the world and looking for some more of the Endergast henchmen to take down. I was feeling super confident about my chances after my victory and looking for my next big challenge. I stumbled into a new biome, the Crimson Forest. This place was crazy creepy. As I explored, I came across an old book that seemed to have been left by someone that the Endergast had marked before. If you are reading this, then beware. The one hunting you has no rules, no boundaries. He doesn't flinch at his adversaries. He fears nothing. That's why he does this. He hunts to feel alive and will do anything to catch his prey. Oh, I'd better watch out. The Endergast seems to have some real issues. I had been so distracted by reading the book that I almost didn't notice a familiar hissing sneaking up behind me.
There's the devil dragon that took out our buddies. Get this fool, boys.
More ender creepers! I was nearly caught off guard, but stood my ground and fought them off. That was a close one. Lucky I noticed them, or I could have been blown to smithereens. From day 20 to day 22, after my run-in with that last group of ender creepers, I decided it would be best to make sure I was better protected against oncoming damage. So I headed back to the mines and gathered up some more iron ore, turning it into ingots and then smelting those into a shiny new iron chestplate. With all this added armor, and still feeling confident after my recent wins, I thought it was about time I got some more experience and headed back to take care of that ghast that the evoker had been hunting when we met a few days earlier. This ought to be a good warm-up for taking on the Endergast. Sneaking up like I had done before, I gave the ghast a taste of his own medicine and hurled flames its way. I was able to deal a lot of damage, destroying it on the spot. But I didn't get to enjoy the victory for long.
Do you really think you'll be able to best me so easily?
It was the Endergast. Where had he come from?
You really ought to be more careful with how much attention you draw to yourself. I was once like you know. Weak, inexperienced. Do you think anyone made it easy for me? Of course not. I had to prove myself as the greatest hunter of all time. And I'm not about to let an upstart like you undermine me.
Before I had a chance to fight back, the Endergast released a barrage of fireballs. I knew I wasn't going to win this fight. I had no choice but to take cover and retreat to safety. From day 23 to day 26, I managed to make it back to my base, but was careful to make sure I wasn't followed. Lord Endergast had already tracked me down once. I needed to be careful he didn't discover where I'd set up my base. I tried not to feel too defeated. It was still early in the 100-day challenge, and I just needed to keep challenging myself to eventually beat him. Plus, I'd already bested that regular ghast, which the evoker was really impressed to hear about.
That's great. Good going, Dragon Boy. We'll make a world-class hunter out of you yet.
Speaking of which, I decided it was time to get in some more practice of using the world around me to improve my chances of survival. I went off for another jaunt into the mines and gathered up the last of the iron ore I could find. I had plenty to make enough ingots to craft myself an iron helmet and a pair of iron boots. I had a much better shot at resisting incoming attacks. Now I was covered in a full set of armor.
Looking good, Zozo. I had a similar idea. I've been working on protecting the base. Check out our brand new perimeter wall.
The place looked great. Now I would rest easy knowing the base would be defended even while I was away. Plus, it provided added safety so I could survive for the full 100 days. From day 27 to day 31, I decided it was about time I tried to challenge myself again. If I was gonna use my environments to my advantage, then I couldn't limit myself to just the more familiar biomes I had visited. So I headed back towards the Crimson Forest. It looked like this place would be fairly easy to hide in. There wasn't a lot of light, and plenty of trees I could hide behind. Still, I needed some practice and finding good spots in the Crimson Forest to hide, because an iron golem was able to spot me with ease.
Hey, you know I can see you, right?
Ah, darn, I'm just trying to figure out how to survive against the Endergast.
You're that devil dragon that took out his ender creepers. I gotta hand it to you. This place has been nice and quiet since you took care of those guys. But I expect they'll start to muscle in again soon.
Why don't you come back to my base with me? That way, you'll be out of harm's way.
Say, thanks. You're all right, Mr. Devil Dragon.
Together, the Iron Golem and I headed back to base. I decided I would spruce the place up a little, so I gathered up some wool from the sheep and turned that into some fashionable decorative banners. Now we were surviving in style.
Zozo, come quick. The Endergast minions are out looking for those that have been marked.
Wait, they aren't here though. They haven't found me yet.
No, not you. The Soul Blaze. He was the last one to be marked, and he needs our help.
From day 32 to day 35, we rushed back through the Badlands to where the Fire Guardian had introduced me to the Soul Blaze. I couldn't let the Endergast get to him. He'd helped me start out on my journey.
Quick, Zozo, I see commotion up ahead.
A huge swarm of Ender Creepers were ganging up on the Soul Blaze, blocking us from getting to him.
So, the Endergast has finally found me after all this time. Couldn't run forever, I suppose.
The Ender Creepers were closing in, hissing and getting ready to explode. Before I could get close enough, there was an almighty boom, and many of them detonated, taking the Soul Blaze with them. No!
Hey, it's the other marked one, the Devil Dragon. Get him, fellas!
I had to fight back and managed to fend off the few Ender Creepers that were still left standing. But I was too late to save my friend, the Soul Blaze. From day 36 to day 39, I had to go and be on my own for a while. I was starting to worry that I wouldn't see this 100-day challenge through to the end. And even if I did, it seemed that the Endergast wasn't one to admit defeat so easily. Would this be my life now? Spending every day constantly on the run until Ender Creepers finally caught me? My thoughts were interrupted by the Hoglin.
Oi, why the long face?
Huh? It's nothing. Just thinking about some stuff.
Well, you got a minute to spare? Mate Blaze took my guitar, and I can't get it back.
Sure, but you really should say please, you know. I tried to keep my focus on the task at hand. I still had plenty of days to get through, and if I was ever going to outsmart a hunter as ruthless and unruly as the Endergast, then I needed to become a better hunter myself. I tracked down the mutant Blaze. Attacking it with fire breath probably wasn't going to end well, so instead, I snuck up a nearby hill to get the high ground, then dropped towards the mutant Blaze, scratching it up with my dragon claws and finishing it off with my sword. I gathered up the Hoglin's guitar, and he seemed to be apologetically grateful.
Cheers for your help there. Sorry I was so rude before. This guitar is all I've got to help me survive. I don't know what I'd do without it.
You're right. That's given me a fresh perspective on things. I need to hold on to what I've still got as tight as I can. That way, I'll survive the Endergast and his unfair hunt. From day 40 to day 43, I headed back to base and back to my friends. They had helped me make it this far into the 100 days, so I needed to make sure I took care of them as much as they looked out for me.
Welcome back, Zozo. I hope you're feeling better after some time alone.
I am a little, but I think I'll get by with a little help from my friends.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, as we are due to have more joining us soon. I hope you don't object, but without the guidance of the Soul Blaze, my fellow Fire Guardians need a refuge, so I've urged them to come here.
Of course, the more the merrier. Say, have you been decorating in here?
Just a few small improvements.
The Fire Guardian had really been helping bring the place together with some brand new couches and bookshelves. And not a moment too soon either, seeing as his Fire Guardian buddies soon started showing up. After I had helped to greet them, the Iron Golem came up to me.
Hey, Mr. Devil Dragon.
You can call me Zozo, you know.
My bad. I've got a favor to ask. Would you go to my old place and pick up my emerald stash? I left it behind by mistake, and I'm worried I'll get seen by one of the Endergast cronies if I head back on my own.
No problem. Leave it to me. From day 44 to day 49, I ventured back to the Crimson Forest to track down the Iron Golem's emerald stash. It wasn't exactly the most challenging task I'd faced, but at least I was helping out my friends. That was the key to my survival, working together. Unfortunately, I wasn't the only one who'd had that idea. The Endergast came bursting out of the shadows towards me, accompanied by his toughest stooge yet, a mutant wither skeleton.
Found you again, and you aren't going to be getting away so easily this time!
You're the one who's found me so many times, but failed to stop me. Face it, you're only trying to prove what a scary hunter you are, because in reality, you're just not that good at it.
I'm an exceptional hunter, and you want to know why? Fear! If you make the creatures of this world fear you, then they'll bend to your whims. For example, let me introduce you to my friend here.
Not tough enough to take me on yourself?
Oh, you naive fool! You think you can goad me? This is all part of my game, making you grow confident, even arrogant. Also, I can make you realize how futile your efforts were when I finally beat you!
With that, he slunk back into the shadows as his mutant wither skeleton started coming towards me, ready to attack. I drew my sword and leapt into battle! From day 50 to day 53, I crossed swords with the fearsome mutant wither skeleton. This was by far my toughest fight yet. With the nasty mob lacked in speed, it more than made up for in strength. I had to make sure to put some cover between me and it when the creature geared up for another heavy attack.
Oh, the little devil dragon only made it halfway. Looks like you won't be seeing day 100.
That's what you think!
Huh? Where did that come from?
I remembered to use my environment to my advantage. While I was behind cover and the mutant wither skeleton was talking, I quietly slipped around to some cover behind him. Now he was looking in the wrong place, and it meant I could get the drop on him. I launched a flame breath attack and struck the mutant wither skeleton with my flames, then charged in to deliver the final blow with my sword. He was down, defeated, but not destroyed yet.
You're tougher than I thought.
Tell me how I can defeat the Endergast.
Defeat him? You'll have to find him first. He resides in the Dover Mountains, surrounded by his most loyal and powerful hunters. You might as well take these.
As he died, the mutant wither skeleton passed me a handful of mystical diamonds. These would come in handy later, I thought, so I held on to them. From day 54 to day 57, I continued to search around the Crimson Forest and eventually found the Iron Golem's emerald stash. Unfortunately, there was a problem. A mutant husk had picked it up, so I hid and waited for it to drift past me, then leapt out, landing a powerful series of claw attacks and dealt with it in no time. I headed back to my base with the emerald stash and was finally able to return it to my friend, the Iron Golem.
Thanks, Zozo. In exchange for this favor, I'll tell you an important secret.
A secret? What do you mean?
The devil dragons! Long ago, they were considered to be the most prized prey to an aspiring hunter wanted to prove themselves. But they were so rare that hardly anyone could catch them. Only one appeared every few hundred years.
That must be why the Endergast is so interested in me. From day 58 to day 62, I worked on making some improvements to the sheep pen, giving those woolly guys a lot more space to roam around freely. But after I had done that, I remembered about those mystical diamonds I had taken from the mutant wither skeleton. I didn't have enough to craft weapons with, but I bet that if I could find some additional diamonds, I could make something pretty special with these. So that's what I did. I ventured down into the mines, and sure enough, there, embedded in the stony walls, were some shiny, untouched diamonds. I knocked them free with my pickaxe and took them back to my base. There, I combined them with the mystical diamonds to create a brand new diamond sword and pickaxe to match. They were both imbued with the magic of the mystical diamonds. It was then that the Fire Guardian came to tell me about some of the new improvements he had been making to the base while I'd been busy.
Take a look over here. I've made the living area more comfortable to accommodate everyone that's staying here at the base. And there's even a fireplace. My fellow Fire Guardians were feeling a little aimless without some fire to guard.
Wow, these are some impressive upgrades. From day 63 to day 66, I decided to have a chat with my old pal, the Evoker. Since he was a more accomplished hunter, I figured he might know something about the mountains where the Endergast's base supposedly was.
Smart call asking me. That's the mark of a hunter who's willing to learn from the experience of others. Mountains, eh? Not the nicest of places. Shame that you'll have to head over there. If you head due west from here, you'll find the path there. But watch your footing.
It's a treacherous biome to be in.
I set off in the direction that the evoker had pointed me in, and before long, I found myself in the mountains. This place looked pretty desolate, even more than the Badlands or the Crimson Forest. Something about all those stony spires made it seem unforgiving. I suddenly got startled and instantly turned to face what I thought was my attacker. I was prepared to face off against some of the toughest mobs working for the Endergast, and when I saw a mutant hoglin, I thought he was after me.
Hey, take it easy, bro.
Wait, you're not here to attack me for the Endergast?
What, that jerk? No way, bro. I'm a hunter. I've been on the trail of a wild blue manticore, a fascinating but aggressive beast. You look like an aspiring hunter too. Fancy coming along to show me what you got?
Okay, let's go. But we should tread quietly. Don't want to attract too much attention.
Ah, good call. I can tell you've done this before.
From day 67 to day 70, I ventured further into the unfamiliar terrain of the mountains. The mutant hoglin hunter was a pretty good tracker and showed me some of the tracks that the blue manticore had left. I took the opportunity to get familiar with this new biome. After all, if the Endergast was hiding somewhere here, I'd need to make sure I could use the mountains to my advantage. Before long, we had found the blue manticore's lair. I took the lead, making sure I was staying nice and stealthy. Once I was at the edge of the cave, I used my flame breath to smoke out the blue manticore into the open. I leapt into action, swiping my claws at the surprised creature. The blue manticore's hide was tough to pierce with my dragon claws, but not enough for my diamond sword. My blade cut through the armored hide with ease, and I felled the beast at last.
That was some nice hunting there, Zozo. Well, happy trails. Maybe I'll see you around sometime, bro.
Huh, what an odd dude. From day 71 to day 74, I continued my exploration of the mountains, trying to figure out where the Endergast had hidden his base. This was a far more dangerous biome than the others I had visited. In some of the more elevated parts, one wrong step could lead to a nasty fall. While carefully navigating a mountain, I was sure that I saw a rock formation that seemed to spell out words. It read, "If you're enjoying this video, then be sure to watch more by searching for Zozo. Huh, must be a trick of light. Or maybe this altitude is making me lightheaded. I carefully skidded down to the foot of the mountain, only to see a familiar, frightening face waiting for me. It was the dreaded Lord Endergast.
What do you think you're doing here? These mountains are my territory. How dare you? You think you can track me here to my mountains and expect to make it out alive?
Wow, he's really mad. I didn't expect him to be so precious about the mountains. I quickly dodged out of the path of an oncoming fireball and grabbed my sword. The diamond blade caught the Endergast by surprise. For a moment, I thought I might be able to actually get the upper hand on him. But he was still too strong, fending me off with ease as he regained his composure. I had to get out of there, and fast. It was time for another timely retreat back to the base. From day 75 to day 78, I went back to my base and sat down in my room for a bit. I wasn't feeling too good about running away from the Endergast again. I knew it was the smartest thing I could have done in the situation, otherwise I would have been done for. But it still stung a little, knowing I hadn't beaten him.
Hey, you Zozo, don't let it get you down. Maybe seeing our brand new watchtower will lift your spirits.
While I was gone, the Iron Golem had been working on adding a watchtower to the base so we could see threats coming from afar. I had to admit, climbing up to the top, that the view really put a smile on my face, but not as much as what happened next.
Zozo, I've been looking for you. My fellow Fire Guardians and I have been working on a thank you gift for you. Here, drink this potion.
I took the magical upgrade potion and suddenly felt myself getting much stronger. Wow, I now had a whole 100 hearts. And to make things even better, I had improved my fireball attack into a mighty dragon fireball attack. Now I was really living up to my devil dragon name. From day 79 to day 84, feeling more confident and much more powerful, I decided to head back towards the mountains to confront the Endergast. But when I made it back to the spot where we had last clashed, he was nowhere to be found. I did have a run-in with a fire ogre. There were so many different mobs in the mountains that this biome was almost like a whole other world. I quickly learned that fire ogres were resistant to my dragon fireball attack, but it didn't fare as well against my sword and the forces of gravity. After I defeated the fire ogre, I searched their lair for any interesting loot and stumbled upon an imprisoned black kitty.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. That horrid ogre wanted to eat me. Please get me out of here, and I'll show you where they keep their most prized possession.
I helped out the kitty, and to say thank you, she gave me a diamond helmet from the ogre's private treasure stash. Wow, this is great! I've been in need of a new helmet. From day 85 to day 89, I was heading back when, to my horror, I was met with the awful sight of a group of ender creepers attacking my base. Hey, get the heck out of here! Scram!
Look out, boys! It's the Devil Dragon!
I rushed after them, quickly checking to see if my friends were okay. To my relief, nobody was seriously injured, although our poor base had seen better days. I remembered my experiences as a hunter and followed the trail of the ender creepers. I made sure to use all of my environment to my advantage, including asking a passing darkness ostrich if he'd seen those creepers.
Yeah, you just missed them. They were heading that way. Take them out. Last thing we want is Ender goons roaming these badlands.
I caught up with the ender creepers and wasted no time launching a huge dragon fireball attack. But then it hit me. They were heading back towards the mountains. I could use this to my advantage too. These ender creepers could lead me to the Endergast base. From day 90 to day 94, I kept up with the ender creepers as they fled back to their boss, the Endergast. Sure enough, keeping on their trail led me right to the Endergast's hidden base in the heart of the mountains. I leapt in to finish off the last of the ghast creeper cronies. I had to make sure they didn't reveal my base's location. But before I could even think about what to do next, a huge two-headed nether ogre came stomping out of the base towards me.
So you're the Devil Dragon? You don't look so tough. The boss says it's time to end this game. For good.
This two-headed nether ogre looked like he wouldn't go down easy. I was in for my toughest fight yet. From day 95 to day 97, I clashed with the two-headed nether ogre. It wasn't an easy fight at all. The ogre was one tough customer. He swung at me, and I had to duck out of the way. Even with my new helmet, he could have knocked my block off. I blasted him with a dragon fireball attack and followed it up with relentless slashes of my sword. There was no way to use my surroundings to help. I just had to keep up the attack. And luckily, it finally seemed to work. A well-timed fireball knocked the two-headed nether ogre off his feet, and he came toppling over with a loud thud.
Ah, dang it! The boss is gonna be so angry with me.
Why even work for an Endergast in the first place? You're a tough guy. I'm sure even you can't possibly be scared of him.
I got no choice. I was marked once in his 100 days hunting game. I lasted as long as I could, but he caught up to me in the end. Because I'd impressed him, he forced me to be his henchman for 100 years.
So he could trap me like that too. Man, this guy really is a jerk.
You said it, pal.
With that, the two-headed nether ogre passed on. I had to double back to my base as quick as possible and make sure everything was okay. On day 98, I made the journey back to my base and assessed some of the damage the ender creepers had left in their attack. Fortunately, it wasn't too bad, all things considered. Most of the damage was taken by the perimeter wall, and that's what it was there for. Look guys, I need to stop the Endergast once and for all. If I don't act now, then there's a chance he won't ever let me go. You've all helped me get this far, so thank you very much. First, the Fire Guardian came to say goodbye.
The Fire Guardians have your back, Zozo. We will defend all you've built here while you go forth. The Soul Blaze would be proud of you.
Then, the Iron Golem.
Well, Mr. Devil Dragon, you gave me a place to stay out of harm's way, and I'm grateful for that. That's way nicer than the Endergast, or as cronies have ever been to me. So I say, go kick their butts.
And finally, the Evoker.
You've become a mighty fine hunter, Zozo. You've listened to all my advice, and there's nothing more I can teach you. Just follow your instincts, and you'll prevail.
With that, I headed off to finally end my 100 days for good! On day 99, I retraced my steps and found myself back where I wanted to be, right outside the Endergast base. He must have realized I took down his two-headed nether ogre because the place was swarming with ender creepers. Just as I was trying to get the drop on them, a familiar face snuck up on me. It was the mutant Hoglin.
Don't overwork yourself, bro. I'll handle these clowns. Slip inside while they're distracted.
Thanks, Mutant Hoglin. Now I could sneak into the base undetected. This was it! On day 100, I reached the top of the enemy's base and came face to face once again with the Endergast. He had been expecting me, but he wasn't too pleased that I'd made it this far.
You again. You really don't give up. Well, since you survived up to day 100, maybe I could find use for you. After all, you did just take down my last top henchman.
No chance. I'm here to put an end to this game once and for all.
Let's see about that, shall we? There's only one way this game ends. My way!
Before any more words could be exchanged, the battle began. I had to use all my strength and experience to take on the Endergast. I thought quick on my feet of a way to destroy him. I tried a few times, hitting the Endergast in the head with my fireballs and dealing some damage, but it had also angered him a lot. He let out a spew of fireballs, and I had to quickly get the heck out of the way. He flew down to get closer to me, and that made him vulnerable. Moving quickly, I used my claw attacks, then showed up with my mystical diamond sword. Then, as he fired his last fireball at me, I deflected it and sent it back his way, finishing him off for good measure. It worked! I had finished it! The Endergast was defeated, and his ruthless hunt was over. I had survived the whole 100 days.